The Gathering 2022 in Las Vegas, or also known as G13. We'll be talking to Jordy of Focus Works. How you doing, man?
Not too bad.
Good to meet you. Raise your voice.
Right.
So I'll just pan across. Now, of course, this is mine. We'll exclude that from the table. And you make, well, flashlights and gadgets, correct?
Flashlights and gadgets, yeah.
What got you started? And when?
In 2015, I started making spinning tops. We were going to have a group of high school students into the shop to give them a tour and give them something to take home. So we figured, hey, let's make a top. How hard could that be? And then once we got through that, we figured, hey, let's throw it up on Etsy and see what happens. And another top maker contacted me and said, hey, there's this community on Facebook of top fanatics.
Yeah.
So we went on there, and then that blew up about 6 months later into a big industry, and then moved into fidget spinners when fidget spinners were big, and then into flashlights that are here.
Yeah, okay. And the company's called Focus Works. Is that because you use a lens that is focusable, or is there anything based upon the name?
No, not much. Not much.
Just more staying focused on the work.
Yeah, focused on the work. If anything, a top can help you focus.
Yeah,
it really can.
Okay. So let's talk about what you started with, the tops.
So a high performance top. These particular ones will give you 9 minutes of spinning easily.
Really?
And I've done heavily milled ones in the past when it was big. They don't spin as long, but they're hard pieces.
Well, what types of materials do you like to use?
For tops, I like stainless steel. It has the best mix of weight, and it looks nice.
Yep.
Brass is good as well. It's not my favorite material to work with or to have.
Right.
I don't really like
for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah. Do you find that the brass doesn't spin quite as long as the stainless steel?
The brass will spin a little bit longer because it is slightly heavier, but the stainless steel it's more durable.
And I guess part of that, your description means that the transition of density throughout the entire piece is similar, so you don't get something that's a little offset on weight?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your price point on your tops?
Price point on those tops is $60.
And regardless of the material?
Regardless of the material on these ones.
Okay, very good. Next, what was the next thing you got into?
I got into fidget spinners. I didn't bring any.
That's kind of a passé thing at this point, to a certain extent.
To some extent, the high-end fidget spinner market is still there.
Oh, okay.
It's what's the word? Shrunk significantly, but they're still around. There's still collectors collecting fidget spinners.
After the fidget spinners, what did you get into?
After the fidget spinners was flashlights.
Okay, let's talk about those. What were some of your first designs? Did you design them yourself, or were you using someone else's proprietary?
I designed everything. So there was a guy on Facebook who was a longtime customer of tops and fidget spinners, and he'd been collecting flashlights for 30 years.
Yep.
And he said, "Oh, you have to build a flashlight." I said, "I've been trying to, but all the electronics, it's so confusing that I couldn't figure out what to buy." So he gave me where to get them and what to buy, and then once I had a starting point, I was able to take off. So the Eric's here was my first design.
What is the material?
This material is all titanium.
Okay.
So a couple different finishes on it. My black tie finish, and then anodized heat sink and tail cap.
Right. What's your price point on that one?
This one retails for $720.
Okay, and next, you brought into play.
The next one, I didn't bring any because they didn't go over all that well, so I stopped making them. But
okay.
After that was the Cylon, which is a collaboration with Skeleton Blade Works. You know Jim Skeleton? So we set out to go nuts with the tritium slots, but with the current state of tritium supplies, it's kind of hard to get enough to fill up flashlights.
Difficult for the supply chain on that is difficult. And next.
The next flashlight, and by far my most popular one, is the F2. So I make these, the philosophy behind these was to have a value line. So rather than the super high-end customs, we'd have an aluminum flashlight that gets still more expensive than production lights, but it's great value for me.
And let's back up just a bit. On your Cylon, what is the price on that?
Price on that one is $975.
And how many trip vials do you have?
That one will take 15 tritium.
Okay. What's your battery source? What's it driven by?
This is an 18650, and the Eric's is a 18350.
Okay, very good. And then on your
those are 14500.
14500.
So all lithium ion, all rechargeable.
Okay. And price point on this?
Price point on these, anodized is 185. Raw aluminum is 175. The Cerakote, Ghost Camo Cerakote is 300. Titanium is 300. And copper is 250.
Okay, very good. And then next, it looks like you've got a couple of other devices there on the rear part of the
So I've got a couple prototype flashlights here. This one is the Dreadnought, and it's going to have 4 separate LEDs in it with 4 separate optics, and you'll be able to choose whether you want a color in one of them or in 1 or 2, or the whites. One customer wants 2 different types of white. In that, I've been developing this for a couple of years now. It's a slow process.
What would that be driven by?
This will be driven by two 14500s and then a Dragon driver, which is the electronics.
Okay. And then your other device.
And then this one is a twist flashlight.
Is that also a prototype?
This is also a prototype. We'll be doing this with D-Rocket Designs.
It's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his design and his external design, my internals, and my machining.
Okay. What do you guys plan to drive that with, if you've decided yet?
This is a 14500 as well.
What type of an LED, or will that be customizable for the client?
This I haven't gotten that far. We may offer it in 2, 4000 and 5000. The best selling is the 5000 Samsung LED, so that's likely what will live in it.
What kind of a color tint are you getting out of that?
5000K, and then it's a high CRI, so it shows color really accurately.
Right. Yeah, like for someone who may need that in their endeavors, EMTs or something like that. Okay, very good. And then the LEDs that you use on your other lights, do those vary depending on availability, or are you using something standard?
On my standard LED is the 5000K Samsung.
Okay.
It sells. It's the best selling that I have. It's very nice. I like it, and that is what I use it.
Very good, Jordan. Okay, outstanding. Do you have a rough idea of what price point would be on these yet?
I don't. We're going to re-prototype in aluminum so that I'll change my production process around a little bit. So
Absolutely.
That, we can keep the cost reasonable.
Outstanding. So when you started with the tops, you were bringing in some youth from your community.
Yeah.
Sounds almost to me like you have a Boy Scout experience.
Nope.
Nope.
No. When I was in high school, there was a group called Cool School. It was an after-school machining and metalwork program.
Right.
And I put I don't know. By the time I was finished, I think finished high school. I think I got credit for 2,000 hours in the machine shop, metal shop at the high school.
Oh,
so
good. Gave you a good foundation.
yeah,
to work with.
so I got that foundation, and then once I got out of high school and went to college and then moved back, I volunteered to teach at that school that was that class, after school class that was still running. So I was involved with it for quite a few years.
Very good. What area you're out of?
I'm out of C